Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Our topic today is the true source of civilization's future is energy wisdom. And the two participants today, one is me. I'm still working for PUC-Rio University in Brazil. And this is Ronald Stein, Senior Policy Advisor for Heartland Institute and CFACT, and co-author of the Pulitzer Prize-nominated book Clean Energy Exploitations. Unfortunately, our friend Yoshihiro Muronaka could not participate, will not participate with us. He had a problem, and he is not here. Good evening, Ronald Stein.
It's afternoon here in California.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Good evening for Brazil, and good morning
Okay.
to Yoshihiro. This is the article we published together last Monday, I suppose.
Yes.
Yes, and this is a very important chart that started everything of this discussion. Is the amount of energy that we lost every day. So 60% of energy produced is not used; it is waste, and this is a big problem. So, Ronald Stein, please let me remove and come back to here. I know that you make a very good separation between electricity, oil products for transportation, but considering all this, if you can call energy, uh, in- uh, the point is the following: efficiency. The word efficiency, it increase or decrease the world consumption. What's the influence of efficiency in terms of consumption of energy?
Oh, the whole article is geared around energy wisdom, not energy denial. In fact, even Bill Gates, just before the COP30 convention in Brazil happened, he posted on his website, and let me quote, "Climate change is a serious problem, but it will not be the end of civilization." And he also said, unfortunately, the doomsday outlook is causing much of the climate community to focus too much on near term emission goals. And he also stated that our chief goal should be prevent suffering, particularly for those in the toughest conditions who live in the world's poorest countries. And bring up that graph of the population growth.
Oh yeah, sure. Let me put that. Yeah, this is the next one. 1 second. Yes.
Yeah, this graph it says it all. 1,000 words. The United Nations graph, because the world populated from 1 to 8 billion. After we discovered how to process that useless black tar that we call crude oil, because no one uses crude oil. We have to go through with process it. It goes through these, refineries, and they heat it and they beat it and they crack it and they do all these crazy things to it. And we get the derivatives and different fuels that we use. But we don't use crude oil by itself. We're basically a product driven society. We become a materialistic society. And, today we have all those derivatives. We get 6,000 products and transportation fuels to support the public's demands for those products. And it's those products that the reason we continue to explore for that black tar. And the irony of the whole thing is that the renewables, wind and solar, don't provide any of those products. In fact, wind, solar, and EVs are 100% based on oil, because all the parts to make wind turbines, all the parts to make solar panels, all the parts to make EV cars, from the tires, the wire, the insulation, the computers, it's all made from oil. So all the substitutes to get rid of emissions have been oil-based products. And that's the thing we're trying to get some wisdom to accept, that is the reality of life. And Yeah, wind turbines and solar panels can only generate electricity, and we have to make sure they're aware of that. And if we get rid of electricity, if we get rid of fossil fuels, we get rid of electricity because all the parts to make those wind turbines, solar panels, and hydro plants, and nuclear plants, and coal and natural gas power plants, they're all made from oil. So, yeah, if we get rid of oil, we're going to get rid of electricity because electricity came after oil, not before. And when you take a look at everything we have today, from the iPhones, the computers, the X-ray machines, the defibrillators in hospitals, they're all made with oil. So everything that needs electricity is made from oil. So if you get rid of oil, there'll be nothing that needs electricity.
Mhm. Is your intention with this chart to show the quantity of people that need oil products and things like that? That's the point, is the focus?
Well, they need the products. It's the products that allowed us to populate. Before we had oil, we didn't have hospitals, we didn't have airports, we didn't have shopping centers, we didn't have computers, and everything is oil based. And I'm 100% in favor of getting rid of oil, but there's got to be a backup plan to support the products that got us to this 8 billion population. We can withstand virtually all weather related fatalities that have been virtually eliminated because if it's cold outside, we heat the house. If it's hot outside, we cool the house. And yeah, so weather related fatalities have almost been eliminated with the use of those products. And electricity doesn't do anything.
Yoshihiro said something interesting, that Japan saved energy through engineering, not sacrifice. Well, what do you think about this?
Yes. High energy efficiency helps produce affordable products, affordable services, and enhances the quality of life of our daily life. Energy should not be saved indiscriminately, but rather optimized wisely to enhance our quality of life. Saving energy alone leads to degrowth, not only materially, but also mentally and spiritually.
Yeah, yeah. So the focus from California, for instance, is wrong at this time because our focus in electricity and not in the oil products that California, for instance, needs a lot.
Well, correct. I mean, yeah, we're a big state, but every state has their own challenges. But going to zero emissions and the big goal of COP30 is to eliminate fossil fuels. I'm 100% in favor of that, but you got to have a backup plan because wind and solar only generates electricity. It's not going to keep your hospitals open. There'll be no products. When you're in a hospital or when you're in the airport, trying to identify something, one thing, just one thing that a wind turbine can make.
So you do not believe that we can replace oil. That's a very important point. So we need oil
Well,
because it's
we,
irreplaceable.
we've had 200 years to find a replacement and been unable to do it. We can use the natural plant life to make a few of the products, but Armando, we got 8 billion people to support. It's the quantity that we face a challenge of. Yeah, we can, provide some substitutes, but the quantity of people is amazing. And when you think about it, today we have, you know 35,000 commercial planes, 57,000 merchant ships, 300 cruise liners, 1.5 billion automobiles. Besides militaries, trucks, construction equipment, they're all built from the products that are made from oil. And if you don't have the products, you know, those planes and merchant ships didn't exist before the 1800s
Mhm. Mhm.
because you could grow products in a different country and ship it to a different country. And yeah, so it made the world a lot smaller.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you eliminate oil, you're going to eliminate all the transportation infrastructure
yeah,
that's
yeah,
been
yeah.
built up
Sure,
over the last
sure,
200 years.
sure. Especially heavy transportation. That's a
Oh, yes,
complicated
yes.
place. Yes, I'm not sure that you visit COP30 with your private jet.
I stayed, no,
Oh
left
yeah,
my private jet here.
yeah, your private jet. Yeah, but what do you see in terms of use energy wisely? Because countries they have different realities. Each country is different from another, and how can they standardize, let's say, make standard processes and procedures to energy consumption?
Our current policies, means we should use more renewables. Then the answer is no, because the current policies encourage us to use more renewables as a utility source, but renewables alone will neither produce products nor enhance our quality of life. Like I say, everything that needs electricity is made from oil. So all the things in your house, in your workplace, um, that you see, if it needs electricity, it won't exist. Because wind turbines, yeah, the good news is they'll reduce emissions. The bad news is they eliminate the products. Then we're a materialistic society. And that's what we have yet to come up with is the replacement for the supply chain to provide those products. Because 8 billion people are, basically living on those products. And when you take a look at the wealthy countries, which is maybe about 2 of the 8 billion, developing countries, China and India, they got like 6 billion people that are barely making any money. They would love to join the Industrial Revolution and have all the nice things that we have. But no, we're a materialistic society and we just totally forget about it. The solution we have to come up with is what's good for 8 billion people.
Yeah.
California, we want to, we got 35 million people here in one state. Well, if California is zero emissions, that's, a fraction of 1% of the 8 billion. What about the other 7.9 billion people in the world? Um, yeah. So,
Uh, you see that with the United Nations policies in terms of energy, they are forcing more inequalities or less inequalities in terms of world distribution of wealth.
oh, it would definitely increase in the differences because we're basically going back to the 1800s. I mean, we have the poor developing countries don't have what we have. They don't have air conditioning, computers, iPads, iPhones, et cetera, et cetera. And if you eliminate the products, yeah, we're going back to the pre 1800s because all those merchant ships didn't exist, hospitals didn't exist. And, electricity by itself is not going to keep hospitals open, not going to keep airports open. So, yeah, we're going to be, we populated from 1 to 8 billion. And if you eliminate fossil fuels and you eliminate the medical system, yeah, you're going to basically depopulate the world population.
With the evolution of artificial intelligence data centers, you presume that oil, okay, oil is not demanded for these data centers, or a little
Well,
bit.
oil is only demanded to make the pieces and parts of the data center.
Yeah,
Again, it's the same type thing. If you don't have the pieces and parts to make the data center, you have no reason to have electricity.
yeah,
If you only have electricity, Electricity is not going to build a data center. Electricity, you know, like the iPhone, electricity can charge the iPhone. Electricity can make the data center operate, but electricity can't make the data center. That's the challenge we're facing.
Yeah. What's your thoughts in terms of let me change here a little bit. In terms of what's wisdom for you, energy wisdom? What's this concept means for you?
Well, affordable energy is restricted in the name of climate change, inequality, and inevitably increases. The impact, however, varies greatly from country to country. Wealthy nations can absorb the cost of electrification, but developing countries depend heavily on fossil fuels for the products, for transportation, for agriculture. They simply cannot switch to expensive alternative overnight. In other words, imposing the same policy on every country becomes a source of inequality itself.
We have one side the population, the other side governs several levels of governance, and we have press and media. Who is the first, let's say, approach to make this let's see transformation of mindset?
I would think that the press is probably the number one because they're the ones that, you know, you watch CNN or ABC or NBC, and it's the people asking the questions. And if they ask the right questions, hopefully we'll get the answer. Because, you know, the idea of running this world on electricity, it can't happen. They're so focused on reducing emissions, they're forgetting the fact that how are you going to support keeping hospitals open? Hospitals need electricity only because they have pieces, components that were built with oil that need electricity, X-ray machines and, you know, defibrillators and on and
Yeah.
on and on.
Ronald, please try to bring to us 2 or 3 questions that media press should make to everyone.
Well, I guess asking how is a wind turbine going to support the transportation infrastructure of all those planes and the merchant ships and the cruise liners and the military and the automobiles and the trucks? You know, how are the wind turbines going to replace all that infrastructure? The one thing that I guess the top 30 people don't recognize is electricity came after oil. Because without oil, you don't have the parts and components to make wind turbines and solar panels. And if, and again, I don't want to be repetitive, but without crude oil, there can be no electricity. And they want to eliminate crude oil. And when you talk about, you know, charging an iPhone or making a X-ray machine work, if it needs electricity, it's made with the products from fossil fuels. So the focus of reducing emissions is fine, but you know, we had zero emissions back in the 1800s.
And what's the reason why press media they do wrong questions? They make wrong questions.
I can't answer that one. So, but you know, they want to get a lot of you know, readership and viewership, and what better way to ask quote quote an embarrassing question of Governor Newsom? You know, what's your backup plan? How are you going to support the infrastructure that you've got? You got 35 million people in California living on transportation and medicines and you know, if you want to eliminate crude oil, you don't have to eliminate crude oil. We talked about this before. It's a restaurant. Restaurant opens up, got bad food. Nobody goes to the restaurant. The restaurant closes. Well, if you eliminate the need for the products, that's the way you get rid of oil. But Newsom doesn't have the guts to say we're going to close the hospitals, we're going to close the airports, we're going to close the shopping centers, reduce the demand for the products. That gets rid of oil.
Yeah.
But it's illogical to think that, if you're generating electricity from wind turbine, and all their solutions to generate electricity are oil-based. Except the wind turbine is 100% made with oil. The solar panel is 100% made with oil. All the construction equipment to install wind turbines, solar panels, is basically made from oil. So if you get rid of oil, you're getting rid of all those products. And take the EV, the tires, the wires, the insulation, the computers.
Yeah.
It's all oil-based. So if you get rid of oil, you get rid of EVs.
Yeah. Going to our last point, please, Ronald. Are you following the results and decisions in COP30, something related to that?
Well, like I say, it's delusional. I mean, they're so focused on reducing emissions. They will reduce emissions, but when you reduce emissions, you're going to basically depopulate the world. Because everything in our daily lives, we're a materialistic society, and wind and solar cannot produce any of the materialistic pieces. So, yeah, I think it's a great way to get rid of a couple of billion people, if that's what you really want to do. That will accomplish, you'll reduce emissions. You also reduce the population.
But are they able to implement these trends, these policies? No.
Yes, I think they are, because the people, you have some pretty powerful people there that are disillusioned to that effect. California Governor Newsom, he's all in favor of getting rid of oil. He's done a pretty good job of almost putting oil production to a terminal status in California. Refineries are starting to close in California and go to different states. And so, yeah, and he wants to run for president.
Yeah, and can win.
So, like you say, it's, and I think the press would be perfect. What's the backup plan? How are you going to keep an airport running?
No.
And
No.
you talk about the size. When you go on a cruise ship and you take a step back and look at that ship, and say, "Wow, you want this thing to move?" Where you go on an airplane, if you take a step back and look at that plane, say, "Oh, you want to get this off the ground?"
Yeah. There's a difference between speech and reality. They are talking, but the reality is different.
The reality is not based at COP. Their only focus, as Bill Gates mentioned, is on emission reduction. But if you take a step back, and if they achieve zero emissions, what's the impact of 8 billion people?
I got your point. Yes. Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, the good news is, you can reduce emissions, but how are you going to keep your hospitals operating? When you go into a doctor's office, a hospital, I mean, all the plastic gloves, the needles, I mean, everything is
made by
made
oil
from
products.
oil. Wind turbines can't make any of that stuff. Solar panels can't make any of that stuff.
Very good. Ronald Stein, thank you so much. It was a short conversation today because we expect to have Yoshi here, but he had some problems to solve. And
I would just like to have, like I say, have the press initiate the conversations, because there's going to be a lot of debates when people running for governors in different states and the presidency. Ask the question, how is wind and solar going to support our materialistic society?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. It was a great pleasure talking to you again.
You have a great day.
Yeah, everything.